I think of AI as a collaborator, not a replacement. AI needs to help you move faster and with less frictions. So if AI would allow you to leave 30 minutes earlier to attend a school presentation or feel more confident walking into a meeting after maternity leave, that's a meaningful impact.
Hello, I'm your host, Laurie Shuster, Editor-in-Chief of SWE Magazine. Welcome to Diverse, a SWE podcast. AI is an incredibly hot topic at the moment, but today we're exploring a unique angle. How can engineers, particularly moms who are engineers, use AI as a tool to support their well-being and their work-life balance? I'm joined by Gabriela Salazar, pre-sales engineer at Aveva, who is based in Mexico City. In addition to her work as an engineer, Gabriela is studying for her PhD in industrial engineering, and she is also the mom of 2 young children. Gee, you're not busy. Gabriela, I'm very interested to hear about how we can use AI to be more productive and to better support our total lives. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Laurie, and thank you to SWE for creating spaces like this that allow us to share and learn from one another. I'm really excited.
Can you introduce yourself a little and share what first drew you into STEM and what your journey has looked like building a career in Mexico?
Yes. Hola, everyone. I'm Gabriela Salazar. I'm a mechanical engineer. I have a master's degree in industrial engineering with a specialty in quality system and productivity. I'm also currently pursuing a PhD in industrial engineering. My research focuses on proposing a reference architecture for digital twin implementation in Latin America industries. I've been working for a little over 11 years at Aveva. I'm a senior pre-sales engineer. I specialize in industrial intelligence software. But like many engineers, I didn't start there. I began, like many of us, in technical support and field service, so I had to put my boots in the ground, my helmet on, and start working directly in industrial environments. What first drew me to STEM? Honestly, I always joke that I was a little lazy. I always wanted to finish first and do things faster with less effort. So that mindset pushed me to find smart ways to solve problems. And that quickly turned into curiosity. And I wanted to understand everything, how machines work, processes, operations, and engineering felt that it was the right place for me. For my journey in Mexico has been both challenging and rewarding. Let me tell you a small story here. When I graduated from my bachelor's program, I was the only woman in my generation. Then in my master program, we were about 40%. And now in the PhD program, we're around 30%. So I've seen more gradual progress, more women in engineering. But early in my career, being a woman in heavy industry wasn't easy. I was often mistaken for the assistant instead of the engineer. So I would have customers on the phone telling me, can I speak to the engineer? I'm like, I am the engineer. This is what you get, you know? I had to build credibility repeatedly. Like I had to over-prepare, over-deliver, and sometimes work twice as hard to earn the same level of trust that my male colleagues receive. But I'm speaking more than 10 years ago. Oh gosh, I'm too old. At least in Latin America, the culture was different then. I mean, engineering environments were much more male-dominated, and there were fewer women in visible technical roles. And in engineering, trust is a central currency. So sometimes as a woman, we had to prove ourselves before being heard. Also on, for example, things like compensation equity was also part of that journey, and having difficult conversations with my boss. They realized that we had sometimes more education, more certifications, and that we needed to be recognized equally. One thing that makes me really happy today is that as of today, almost half of our LATAM pre-sales team are women. We're looking for equity. We're respected technical equals. That shift took time, but it's actually happening.
That sounds great. I think it sounds like you're making a lot of progress. And the other story that you told about them telling you, we're going to wait for the engineer, it mirrors something that happened to a friend of mine here in America in the 80s. So I totally get how that can happen. And it's frustrating, I'm sure. But it sounds like your desire to do things faster and better and solve problems is going to make you a great candidate for industrial engineering. But you're also the mother of two. So I wanted to explore a little more. Have you faced any unique pressures or expectations as a mom in engineering?
Beyond all the degrees, I'm a mother of two, as you mentioned. I have a 3-year-old little princess, Donatella, and an 8-year-old Terrenator, full of energy. I think the most important part of being a mom in engineering is actually being a mom. At this age, my kids don't understand what do I do for a living. They don't really care about digital twins or industrial software or whatever I do. They want me to play. They want me to watch them score a touchdown, be there, fully present. So motherhood at this stage is very physical and emotional. So they can run for hours while I have a major client meeting next morning and I'm like exhausted. At work is like the opposite dynamic. People may understand that you are mother, but your expectations do not decrease. You still have to deliver at the same level as your peers that have more uninterrupted time or more flexibility. You're constantly managing time and energy. Actually, something like that happened to me yesterday. I was preparing for an important presentation and suddenly I got a call from Gabriel's school that he fell. So I have to go pick him up, take him to a doctor, handle the situation, and then come back to my meeting. So it's a constant mental transition. Sometimes pressure is just not external, but also internal. Because you want to excel in both the roles. You don't want to compromise your career, but you also don't want to miss your children's childhood. One thing that I'm really fortunate is that I work from home and my company is genuinely committed to employee well-being. So they understand around family situations and they give me a huge flexibility on that, and that makes a tremendous difference. But that's not the case for every woman in Latin America. Many mothers, they don't have remote options, so they have to leave their children very young to prioritize their jobs. They don't have any other choice. Sometimes the pressure usually is not technical. It's learning how to be intentional, how to sometimes forgive yourself when you cannot be perfect in both roles. That's where actually AI becomes really interesting. It will not replace the effort that you do, but it will protect and give you more time. The time is the most valuable resource for working mothers.
I agree. I found juggling those two roles, especially at that age, those younger ages, was really tough. As you said, it requires a certain amount of energy even just to shift your thinking from, okay, now I'm in work mode and now I'm in mom mode. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I didn't have the advantage of having AI tools when my son was younger. Tell me about using AI to help integrate that work-life transition.
I have to travel in between football practice to gymnastics and then client meeting. And that happened almost 3 years ago. When I had my second child, I took about 6 months of maternity leave. And when I came back to work, I felt completely lost. I remember opening my laptop and thinking, do I even know how to use Outlook? I feel really disconnected, especially in software and industrial technology. If you don't keep up, you can fall behind very quickly. And then at that time, we also had a merge with another company. So when I came back, half of the company was not there, or it was different people, new products, new features. But I also had a newborn and another child. Exactly at the same time, my son broke his elbow. So I didn't have as much time as the beginning in my career where I could spend hours studying at night to catch up. Now I didn't have time, my time was way more limited. So I started experimenting with pretty much all the AI tools that I found: ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Canva, coding for video creating, everything. And then what I realized is that it can actually give you a lot of tools, but it's not really about the tool that you use. So I'm going to give you a huge secret in here. It's not about want that tool that's going to solve everything. It's how you use them. Sometimes I talk that AI is like an intern, right? You got to show them what you want, how you want it, teach them a little bit, and then use, and then you're going to get a great results. I start using it. For example, when I came back, read 6 months of emails and let me know if I have something on the table that I need to do right away, or help me learn this new product. But I also use it to, for example, explain my son something that he does not understand, and then it takes me more time to actually think or create a presentation for him. So I actually use it to spend less time in creating things so I can have more time to be with them. The secret here, I think the most valuable tool that you need to learn in AI is how to query properly. If you want faster and better results, you have to learn how to give clear, structured instructions. So you have to shape the tool to assist you, right? So you cannot expect to do this and get a perfection at once. So you have to provide context, constraint, expectations. And you still need to think, you still need to apply judgment, because AI should not replace your reasoning. It should amplify it. So what I usually do is that I think all my ideas and I throw them in there, and then I use it to refine, to summarize, to polish, to practice some conversations, and integrate that into having more time. So I think the trick, it's not the type of tool, but how you use them and how you query to get the right results faster.
I think a couple things that stand out from what you just said to me are treating the AI like an intern that you're going to assist for a while. And then once they get up and running and know what they're doing, you don't have to assist them as much anymore. So it's worth, I guess, putting in that time and effort up front to sort of teach them what it is you're looking for. I really also love that you plugged in all those emails and said, let me know if I have something urgent coming up. I never would have thought of that. And that's a useful tool for so many people. And also to help you create visuals for your kids, because that is a good way for them to learn. And they often need that. And, if you're not into illustration or any kind of artistic endeavors, it's a great option for allowing AI to help you out. You talked about coming back after 6 months and how that can be overwhelming for you, especially with an infant, another child, and all this change happening in your workplace. How do you see AI helping to smooth the reentry for anybody really coming back into engineering after some time off, both technically and emotionally?
Yes, parental leave, it's a beautiful time, but returning to work can feel like you're jumping into a moving train. On the technical side, AI can act like an on-demand assistant, like this intern that I told you about. So sometimes you feel shy asking a colleague basic questions because you're already feeling behind, right? So you can ask, like, for example, summarize product updates, explain new concepts, help prepare me for this meeting, clean up this code, walk me step by step through a specific problem, for example. And that kind of support reduces the time that it takes to rebuild momentum. For the emotional side, it's also as important. After leave, many moms carried brain fog, sleep deprivation, guilt, this feeling of, am I still as sharp as I used to be? I mean, I used to be really good at this and now it's taking like more effort. AI can help you rebuild confidence because it's private. It's a conversation that you have on your chat and it's not judgmental. You can prepare taking points before meeting, or it might be a safe place to practice your confidence until actually you fully return to whatever you need to do. So you can actually practice. Show me how to do this. Pretend you are my boss and I want to have this difficult conversation. I'm going to present this to a new client in this new industry. Give me a specific example for him to understand. So instead of you like looking everywhere, now you can focus your time on having an assistant doing that for you. And there's also a hidden part. The mental load at home doesn't pause because you're back at work. AI can also help you integrate not just being more productive, but planning, for example, your kid's lunch for the whole week, or my son needs an experiment. Give me a cool experiment for an 8-year-old with kitchen ingredients and explosive or something like that, right? So it saves time. So now you don't have to be looking at, I don't know, different YouTube ideas or Pinterest or like start like reading many things. So now you can just do specific things. I have this in my kitchen. So what can I do? AI becomes like a bridge that it supports your technical reentry, protects your bandwidth at home. I think that lowers the stress. And that's the key, like learning what to ask so you don't get incorrect answers. But most important, learn to query well and verify. Like you gotta get used to checking references, cross-check important information. When something doesn't sound right, ask them like, give me the specific reference or the link to this so I can actually check the information. I think AI, it's a tool that helps women return faster with more confidence and less burnout. Right. So it's not to make the job for you, but to reduce the friction in that transition.
I never would have thought of using it that way. I think that's brilliant. And I think, I know when I use it, I always ask it to essentially show its work, right? Tell me where you got this information and give me the live link so I can get to it. Sometimes you have to specifically ask that or it won't do it. So it's kind of interesting. Looking ahead, 5 or 10 years. How do you think, I know it's a really long time in AI years, but even 5 years, how do you think AI will reshape the experience of women in STEM?
5 to 10 years might sound like a lot, but then it sometimes is a blink on the eye. And I believe AI will be fully integrated in our daily lives, just like internet or smartphones today, that we don't think them as a separate tools. It's just part of how we work, how we learn, how we communicate, how we take decisions. The GPS in a car or the smartwatch that you have on your wrist helps you enhance some capabilities, but you're not noticing it. And in STEM fields specifically, AI, I think, will become embedded not only in our computers, but in industrial system, education platforms, research environments, and even on how we collaborate globally. So as someone who works in industrial software, I already see it how AI has been integrated into operational system, optimizing processes, predicting failures. So this integration will only deepen. And for women in STEM, I think the biggest impact will be the access and the acceleration. AI will bring knowledge closer to your fingertips, and it will lower the time barrier to learning something new. And time, that's something that you need. So if you want to explore a new coding language or understand a complex concept or draft a research framework or prepare for a technical conversation, that democratization of access will be really powerful. And when access become easier than all those traditional barriers that we talked at the beginning will start to weaken. You're gonna compress time, reduce the administrative load, and you might feel continuous support for learning. So you can be a woman, a mother, you be able to take a career break and then come back and don't feel really lost or a long time at disadvantage. And you can reskill and reposition yourself more fluidly. So I think we're going to change problems. We're going to solve them differently. We're going to shift towards more creativity and judgment and more thinking and more ethical reasoning. So I think AI won't only favor one group or another. It will be something that, if it's used intentionally, can level up the playing field. And most importantly, give us back time. Time to think, time to learn, time to be present. And that time for women in STEM will allow us to be us. Simply let us be.
That's about the most optimistic forecast that I've ever heard about the use of AI at work and women's use of AI. We hear a lot about how some women don't want to use it or like to use it, or some women feel like it's biased. And then you get other conflicting reports that say, no, women understand AI very well and, know how to use it with a little bit of sophistication. So hearing that it can help level the playing field and give you some time back, not only for work, but for your personal life, I think that's just a really nice thing to look forward to. This has been such a great conversation. Before we wrap up, do you have any closing thoughts on this topic of AI helping with women in their work-life integration?
Yes, I would say don't be afraid of AI. On the contrary, use it. Use it often, use it confidently, and yes, use it shamelessly. Because many women, especially mothers in demanding careers, we feel sometimes ashamed of or guilty about using different tools to reduce our mental load. Use it a lot for everything, but learn how to use it well. AI is powerful, but it reflects the quality of your questions. So the real skill is learning how to query clearly, how to provide context, how to verify results, and how to apply your own judgment. So it's not about outsourcing your thinking. It's about strengthening it. I think of AI as a collaborator, not a replacement. AI needs to help you move faster and with less frictions. So if AI would allow you to leave 30 minutes earlier to attend a school presentation or feel more confident walking into a meeting after maternity leave, that's a meaningful impact. Technology should serve people. And if we use AI intentionally, it can truly support women in building careers and that can be ambitious and balanced without forcing us to choose between excellence and presence.
I love this. Thank you again, Gabriela, for your words of wisdom about AI and how to use it as a tool, not to, rely on it for everything, but use it as just one more tool in your toolbox. And I now think I have an extra assistant for me at work. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Laurie. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share my experience, and I hope it helps other women feel supported in their own journeys.
I'm sure it will. I'm Laurie Shuster, and from all of us at SWE, thanks for listening.